Hi, I'm Josh Cadillac, and welcome to my podcast, Know Your Shit. I've been blessed to see great success, as well as seeing the bottom up close and personal in 2008. And if there's one lesson I've learned, is that if you want to have success and differentiate yourself from everyone else out there, you need to know your shit. As a successful real estate and crypto investor and an educator, it drives me insane that people do not immerse themselves in their craft. Everyone is so busy advertising and testing new sales techniques, they forget the most important thing, the product. Here I want to talk to the folks that got this right, the most successful people in the world in every industry. Bring them to you and find out what they learned in their business that made it great. When you listen to my podcast, you will know for sure that the topics and experts we have on have one thing in common. They know their shit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to be excellent. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'll be in the driver's seat for today's show as we try to learn how to stop doing deals and start closing for life. We have a great show for you today, and without further ado, I want to introduce an amazing guest, Mr. J.M. Ryerson. Did I get your last name right?
You nailed it, brother. Like, nailed it.
Beautiful. You know what? I'm like the name butcher. It's like my thing. So it's nice when I finally get one right. So JM, thanks for being on, bud. I really appreciate it.
Oh, truly, it's my pleasure. And it's nice to know that I can cuss straight out of the gate because know your shit. I'm like, yes, I get to cuss and I don't even have to think about it.
Don't worry. Nobody, there's not going to be a censor, the FCC. Nobody's going to care. Absolutely. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, the title came from me talking about somebody. I said, Leon, wouldn't it be great if people just knew their shit? He's like, that's the name of your podcast right there. And I was like, well, you know what?
Solid. I mean, it is very catchy. And again, for those of you, if you do interviews so often, you're like, because I didn't ask you before, can you censor or can I cuss or not? Not that I cuss a lot, but you sit there and you're going through this, like watching what you say. Right here, I just get to be me, my authentic self. And if cussing comes to mind, then boom. Anyway, it's
coming. So, JM, for those of folks that aren't familiar with you and what you're about, what is it that you do, sir?
Yeah. So I have built a few companies. This is my fourth company, and it's called Let's Go Win. Let's Go Win exists to inspire people to live their best lives. And it all started because I wrote a book for my two kids. I have 16 and 12-year-old boys. And the idea was for them maybe to not scrape their knees and bang their head as many times as I did. That's why I wrote it. And that led to somebody said, oh, that's cool. Hey, can you coach my kid on losing weight? Oh, sure, I could do that. Helped him lose 80 pounds. Can you help this PGA golfer? He had missed 12 cuts in a row. Yeah, I helped him. He made 4 out of the next 5. And then it just kept going like that, brother. And then it was the podcast. And what I found, Josh, is I love it. I am absolutely passionate about helping people achieve things that they don't know that they can achieve, because so often self-limiting beliefs get in the way. I try not to use the word hate, but I hate self-limiting beliefs. And Let's Go Win is all about helping people achieve things they don't think they can.
Yeah, you know, I talk a lot about it because I'm in a similar position when it comes to coaching in real estate, and the idea that there's more in the tank and you got to figure out a way to get it out of there. You know, like if you don't, what kind of a tragedy is that? I mean, how much does that suck if you literally die with some of the best stuff left in the tank? The biggest loser in that instance is you, and you're the one that was getting in the way of you getting what you could have got. I mean, man.
Yeah, I actually had a guest the other day on my podcast, and he said the greatest ideas are in the graveyard. And when he said that, I was like, geez, man. And it's true. How many people have these brilliant ideas? Somebody thought of Amazon before Amazon, I guarantee it. And they just didn't pursue their dream, or Tesla, or name something that somebody thought of. And they said, that's a great idea, and didn't move on it. I just don't like that, because so many people have so much gifts and talents, and they're inside, and I'm like, bring them out, man. We need it. You need it. I need it. The whole world needs it.
The whole world is a better place. Absolutely. It's this baggage, this garbage we pick up, a lot of it on the way. You know, all along the way, we learn so many lessons different ways, right? I mean, there's the hard way, the way that You and I probably have both learned a lot of lessons. And then the way you're trying to make for your sons, the little bit easier way, son, don't be smart and learn from your own mistakes, be wise and learn from other people's mistakes. Um, but the reality of it is all of that tends to build up the scar tissue kind of on our soul of our own opinion of ourselves, our own opinion of ourselves as winners and being successful people. And that takes its toll when it's time to try to get out of yourself what you're capable of. You have this little voice in your head. Remember last time you tried that? And it's getting rid of that junk because last time I tried it, I didn't have the experience of screwing up. And so I'll probably be better at it this time. We don't let ourselves go down that road. We don't learn from our own stuff. So let me ask you this. What got you started doing this? I mean, what was the genesis of this for you?
I mean, I love to read. Here's the deal. I'm obsessed with reading. I read 30 to 40 books a year. And what I found is there's these golden nuggets that I'm like, holy cow, that's amazing. I need to share that. And so I kept wanting to share and kept wanting to share. And when I wrote the book, the gal that I was working with is like, man, you're selfish. And I said, what do you mean I'm selfish? She said, if you only share this book with 2 human beings, you're selfish. And so, brother, that's when I decided, okay, cool. There's something to this idea. Now, here's what's crazy, brother. I had literally I wrote about Let's Go Win when I was about 20 years old in a journal in college.
Mm-hmm.
Put it away. It's in memento box. And I didn't find it until a year after I had launched the company. So this had been marinating. You want to talk about ideas that have been marinating for years. It's been in there. And yet I hadn't accessed it for whatever reason. And when I found that I have some value to bring to other people, I said, enough messing around. These other 3 companies, they were cool and they took care of my family, but this is my passion, brother. I'm obsessed with helping others. And it just wasn't a choice. The easy choice was just continue collecting checks, ride out the financial service world that I had built for years. But this is what I needed to do, brother. And I love it every single day.
It's great because there's that sense of however you want to look at it, providence, whatever. But there's kind of this sense that we're all made to do something. And most of life is this search to find out what that thing is. And a lot of times, and I think you'll probably agree with me on this, a lot of times with the things that we think get in the way of us getting to that thing that is going to be the absolute best thing, for the thing that's going to take and make our lives great. I know for me, I was very resistant to the public speaking and to writing courses and all the stuff that I'm like, I don't like writing courses. I never liked writing in school. I don't want to take it. I'm getting up in front of people. I don't want to do. Now I do it and I love it. I'm in the same boat as you. Like, what the hell's wrong with me? Why was I fighting this so hard? I was literally fighting for the best thing that I have going and a business that I'm truly passionate about. Much like you, I have several businesses going, but this is the one that more and more, and again, that sense of providence, almost like the idea marinating. Sometimes it needs time to breathe and then it comes out at the right time, but you got to put the stuff in and put it in the marinator to let it kind of roll around there. I think I know that for me, there was one class in particular I was doing on body language. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to teach a class on body language and real estate? Like, how are you going to do that? And I must have sat up there for like 2-3 years. And then one day I'm walking to the gym and I got an idea for an exercise that I could do in the class that I thought was going to take and bring. And within like 3 days, I had written the entire thing. But for years, like you said, it just kind of sits up, but it was the right time. When it came, it was the right time. So yeah, that's the thing. So where did all the success come from for you?
I don't know how to quit is the long and the short of it. I just don't have that in my soul and my DNA. And so it's not like a gift or a talent. It's literally, I'm going to work until it works out. So that's truly, I was never the most gifted. I look at, basketball that I played in college, or I look at other sports. I was never the most gifted, brother, but I would outwork someone else and I would die, quote unquote, trying. I mean, the old cliche of, talent versus hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I didn't necessarily have the most talent, but I just didn't know how to quit. So for me, that success is just continuing to try and get better on a daily basis. I get knocked down continuously, man. I get my ass kicked on average 3 or 4 times a day where it's like, wow, that was really bad. And I get back up and I get back up. And you know what? I don't know why. There's just something about achieving things that it's like, why not? The why everybody's telling me why I shouldn't do this or why not?
Yeah.
And someone else putting their own self-limiting beliefs on me. And I get it all the time, right? And are those closest to you will be like, don't do that, just do this. And it's like, no, dude, this is what I need and want and have to do. So I'm just going to keep going. So it's a long-winded answer to say I just don't quit, but that's what it is.
No, it makes sense. I mean, if you take failure off the table, and I mean, it's really what you're thinking about, I suppose, right? I mean, are you thinking about how much it's going to hurt to get there or how amazing it's going to feel when you actually do get there? And, that's the pain it takes to make the team or how good it's going to feel to be, wearing the jersey every day. So,
Josh, and sorry to interrupt, but to just a quick interjection on it. It's so interesting to me. If something comes easy to you and you perfect it really fast, guess what? You get bored with it.
absolutely.
So I think when it's hard, when it's challenging, that's when you embrace that suck, as the military calls it. It's like embrace that. That means you're growing. Human beings love to be challenged. We don't like to admit that, but we love it. So
I mean, the thing that I've really been marinating around recently is the idea that we don't grow from the good times. We don't get better from the good times, but we want to avoid the bad times, which means that we're not growing and we're limiting our own growth so that we're left with a lesser version of ourselves. So we're fighting to not do the very thing that's going to make us be stuck with a better person for the rest of our lives. In what way does that make logical sense? Well, it makes logical sense because we're a culture that has embraced pleasure, has embraced comfort, as opposed to having embraced quality, just good quality of thing. The idea of the pursuit of happiness, the joy one gets from a life well lived, doing the hard work to get the enjoyment, the idea of investing. I invest in the pain today so that I get the payoff of the better future version of myself living life going forward. And the sooner I embrace the pain, the better I get the payoff. The sooner I get the payoff in my mind.
And what's so fascinating, brother, when you talk to people that have arrived or they have hit that utopia where they've all the success, guess what they talk about? They talk about the journey when it sucked.
Yep.
That's the stuff that they love. So it is fascinating, dude. I love that you're marinated on it because it's so true. Just like me writing the book for my kids, I'm trying to help them avoid pain when the truth of the matter is one of them hasn't even read it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all it is if I'm dead, he's going to know a few philosophies that dad had. That's what it's going to end up being. But he's going to bang his own head along the way, and he should. But it is interesting, brother, how we try to avoid it when the truth is that's the good stuff, man.
Yeah, no, I was doing a podcast with a gentleman the other day, and he talked about a lesson his father gave him, which was, he turned 18 and the father came in, or graduated high school. The father came in and gave him a shoebox full of money, $25,000. He said, with this, my commitment, my responsibility to you is done. You have 3 days to be out from underneath my roof. Now, I know that, I mean, like in today's world, I can hear the tires in the minivans peeling out as, the savior, the helicopter parent steps out to save the day. When I'm talking to him, he's like, this is one of the transitional things in my life that made me the person that I am today. Because our ability to know about ourselves, that we're the kind of person that can survive hard things, is learned. When you start out, you don't know that you can do the hard thing. You don't know that you can get through it. And the only way to figure that out is to do the hard thing and count your fingers and toes and see that they're all still there. Like, I survived. You look back and you see all the carnage. I'm still here. I guess I can. I mean, I remember my father, the first time he had me work like a 10-hour day. Everybody else went home, 8 hours. Like, by the time I was like 14, I'd work 20 hours. I'd work longer than that. I'd have a crew of guys go home. They'd show up the next day. I'd still be there in the same clothes, sweaty, dirty and disgusting, but still working because, you can do as much as you got to do. What do you got to do? It's got to get done. Get it done. If failure comes off the table, man, all of a sudden, all that's left is how are we going to get this done as opposed to can we quit? And I think that's a better place in my estimation. to get there. But let me ask you this, JM. I mean, it's cool what you got going on, man. What do you like best about doing it? What's the thing that just, I know you'll enjoy it. What's best about it for you?
The light bulb, when somebody is like, when they see how much more they have to give, when that really turns on. Because, and I can think back to names like Tim Beauvais, I'll never forget, or Steve Huber, or Marilyn Dixon. There's this catalog of people that when they initially we got connected, they had put, this is how much my value is. And they believe that shit, man. They were like, this is how much I'm worth. And I'm not talking monetarily necessarily, although it does for many people start there.
Sure.
They limited themselves there. But when that door opened up, and then it was like 5 times, 10 times more than they ever thought, there's nothing more rewarding for me to watch someone else do that, because they didn't think they could. They were told they couldn't. People along the way. And I think why, Josh, is because I'm not inspired or incentivized when somebody's like, oh yeah, you're great and you're going to do great. If you tell me I can't do something, that's the best thing I need to hear. You
Yep.
can't do X. Guess what? The first thing I'm going to go do is what you just said I couldn't. And
Sure.
so for me, if somebody comes to me and they're like, I can't do X, Y, or Z, my first question is why? Where did you learn that? At what point did you decide you can't do X, Y, or Z? Somebody told you, you didn't. Your 5-year-old self did not say you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So for me, brother, that's the juice, is when somebody comes and they're like, I want to do this, but I can't. I don't believe in that, man. It's just not in my vocabulary.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's tough to see somebody that when you see, it's tough to see potential and see people squander it. It really is. So getting that out of people, I can imagine that is, and I know I see it in the students that I coach as well. Seeing them flourish is a really beautiful thing. So I get that, man, 100%. What do you think makes you good at this thing?
Uh, I constantly am learning. I don't believe anyone ever arrives. I don't think there's a final destination until I'm 6 feet under, brother. I'm going to try and get better. It drives my wife nuts. She's like, JM, can't you just be content with what you're doing? And I'm like, no, there's another level. I can, and tomorrow I'll try something different dietary to perform just that much better. I'll read something so I can perform that much better. That to me is so much fun. And I have this curious brain as to what else is there? What else can I do to get better? If I ever lose that, Josh, if I ever lose the desire to get better, I hope that that's when I'm dead. I cease to exist, because to me, that's not a life I want to live.
Yeah,
I want
it's
to
time to,
run.
it's time to be put out to pasture. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally, JM's going to go back to Montana and he's going to just go off in the mountains. You'll never see him again because he has given up on life. That's just what has happened.
Yeah, no, it's that fire, it's that spark, it's the hunger, the joy, of life. And the joy of life is tasting that new thing, seeing what's out there. Comfort's an illusion. It really is, because it's really, I think Shakespeare nailed it when he said most people live lives of quiet desperation, right? And that's really what it is. They're in pain, they don't like what they have, they want it to be better, but they're just comfortable enough to stick with it. And so, you can't help the people that aren't ready, willing, and able to acknowledge they're not happy with what they are and they want something better. And that's what's great about the coaching, folks. These people have put their money where their mouth is, and they say, you know what, I think there is something better. Help me get there. And I agree with you, man. I love it. So let me ask you this. What are the most important thing or things you've learned in the process of doing what you do?
Oh, I love this question. So the first one is, and it's the first chapter in my book, is truly being vulnerable. Now, I'm a kid, again, I was raised in Montana. I was taught boys don't cry, which, by the way, is freaking terrible advice. That's
It
like
is.
some of the worst advice.
Mhm.
But truly being authentic, showing up as you. I coach on this all the time. That is the most profound lesson I learned in my professional life, in my leadership life. The first two companies, or first company and a half, I thought I had to look a certain way, sound a certain way. And so I did. And we grew, but it was through sheer grit, determination, man. That was it. It wasn't because people were truly inspired.
Right.
When I chose to show up as me, t-shirt and jeans guy, just giving you everything I got, the good, the bad, the ugly. You're going to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Our company exploded. We grew at 22% every year. And guess what? It was easier. Now, that was the most important one. The second one I will say is have fun. Man, I cannot tell you how often I see people grinding away, going to work every single day. And they're like, I hate this job. I hate this, blah, blah, blah. Why would you do that? We are on this planet for such a short period of time.
Absolutely.
Not that fun. So that would be the second one. And then third is just to have the courage to do it, man. You have the courage inside of you. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. And I know some of these you've seen them on posters, but when you really think about it, it's like, look, whatever you want to do, just like you, whatever reason, public speaking in the moment, you're a fantastic public speaker and you know that now, but isn't it silly to think back that was an actual fear? Because it wasn't real. It was just something that you created, and we've all done it at some point.
Uh-huh.
Thank God you came over that, because now you're helping so many people doing what you're doing.
No, it's a thing. And one of the things that I keep in the back of my head as I keep a little drawer of shame sitting there with the stuff that I think about to take and remind me not to go back to living that other way, is how many people did I not help because I was so busy being selfish and wrapped up in myself. And I need to keep that front of mind, because you know what? I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for what I put out and what I do and the decisions I make and the choices that I've made to this point. And I've made choices that, by choosing what I have inadvertently, unrealizingly hurt other people with those choices. I've deprived other people of something that may have been worthwhile and valuable. Not that I think I'm, all that, but maybe something worthwhile and valuable to them. And I wasn't there to do it because I was so busy worrying about how nervous I was going to be. And so, I don't know. I think that, I think that we're, and you can disagree with me. I maybe on this, but I think we're a little bit too much Barney the dinosaur friendly type of culture. Everything is a hug and a squeeze away and a participation trophy away from, it being a good time. And I think losing and failing and falling on your ass and getting told, hey, you know what, Josh, you're 5'9". Basketball's really not going to be for you, is something I needed to learn, because I needed to reallocate what I had to places where I actually could succeed. And so, I don't know. I mean, I think that's part of the pain and suffering of the whole process, and, keeping those healthy, trying to keep it all in balance, if you will.
Look, man, I don't disagree. I come from a world of there's first, second, third. And there's sixth place trophies didn't exist the way I grew up. Here's the other thing that's crazy about that. In my opinion, the word I use is love. So for instance, if I actually give a shit about Josh and I see that he is doing something that is just not helping him, if I actually do care about you, I love you enough to have that difficult conversation.
Sure.
If I don't give a shit about you, I don't have the conversation. And that's the deal. People they just watch people kind of float along. Look, the people that give you the feedback that hurt the most, they care enough about you to say it. Those are the ones you want in your corner. And I'm not saying somebody beating you down left and right. I'm saying honest, transparent conversation where they're like, look, man, here's what you're good at, Josh. And your skill set is, having this amazing voice, this knowledge, this drive, but 5'9" in basketball, it's just not.
Probably not your play. Yeah. Really puts you as an outlier to being successful at this particular choice of sports. And it's true, right? I mean, having somebody that's going to sit there and call you on your bullshit. I mean, let's be honest what it is, as long as it's coming from the right place, because there's the other end of the spectrum, which are these people that have just been beaten down by everybody and told they're not good enough. And it's striking some balance between the two. My father always used to tell me, you're never as good as your best reviews and you're never as bad as the worst either. It's the reality is somewhere in between. And my father used to say sanity is like a pendulum and, swinging back and forth. You know when it's going fastest? Sanity's right in the middle. That's when it's flying back. It's going from one kind of crazy all the way to the other side kind of crazy. And so what we need to do is try to get it settled down in that middle section right there and try to have this kind of balanced opinion of ourselves that doesn't have all this shame and all this guilt built up, but has a healthy amount that helps us stay on track, because we got to be a good boss to ourselves. I mean, what does a good boss do? They go in looking to try to get out of the employees the best that they can. How do I empower this person to be the best that they can be so that we can get the benefit of it as a company? Well, you're your own boss. Be a good boss to yourself, for Pete's sake.
Brother, I love what you just said. And this is one of the most important things. I hope people hear this. That self-care part of what you're talking about, be a good boss to yourself. I cannot tell you, and I will generalize for a moment. Female clients, when they walk through my door and I say, hey, what are you doing for you? They will give me a list of, I'm taking care of the house, the kids, the career. I mean, they will list off 100 things before they ever mention themselves. And I'm like, look, stop being selfish. Start taking care of yourself, because there's a real shelf life to what you're doing. You're going to take care of these kids and you think you're doing them a favor by doing that and not taking care of yourself first. It's just like flying the airplane and they're like, put your mask on first. You have to take care of you first in order to show up as your best version of you. It is the most simple idea. And I love what your dad said. Like, that's that middle ground where you have to be taking care of yourself first so you can be a great boss to anyone else. So you can show up as a great father, son, whatever hat you're wearing in that moment. You have to take care of yourself first.
Absolutely. I mean, I talk to agents all the time, because part of our job is as a real estate agent is this interaction with people. And I say, do you guys have days when you get down in the business? And of course, I mean, this real estate business can be very disheartening. You get a lot of rejection, a lot of stuff that kind of just, the dings take their toll. And sometimes there's these days you get out of bed and you're like everything goes wrong. And you're like, I should have just stayed in bed, because everything I touched today, I need to stop touching things and just go back to bed, and maybe it'll get better tomorrow. And are you as good as you need to be for the customer? I mean, does what you do for the customer, does it suffer because you're down? And of course, you're not as good as you, and the customer's depending. If you won't do it for yourself, your customer's sitting there depending upon you. You owe it to them to not stay in that place. So if you know that's going to happen, what is your break glass in case of emergency plan for when this business gets you down? How are you going to be a good boss and manage you? How are you going to get you out of the pit? And then in those classes, I share with them a couple of YouTube videos that I watch that just, it's nothing really crazy, but it just reminds me who I am, how I do what I do. And it makes me in my soul say, you know what, coach, put me back in. I can go a couple more rounds. I can go a couple more downs. I got it in me. It just reminds me, it lights the fire again. It gets me back to being me. And does that make me weak or frail? Who cares what it makes me? I don't care what anybody thinks about it. It helps me to be the best me as much of the time as I possibly can be. And that's what I'm looking to be.
Oh, that makes you human. Look, I had a pity party the other morning for about 5 minutes, and I realized JM's little bitch came out where I was just I'm beating myself down about what I'm not doing. And I'm in my head, I'm like, okay, are you done having your pity party? I went to the gym, and guess what? The endorphins start firing. Yep. Next thing I know, great things are happening. And I guess my point in telling that is, look, we all have good days. We all have bad days, but let's make them moments. I'm having a really shitty moment right now. Get it out. Get it out. I don't care if you write about it. Have your pity party. It's going to happen. But what are you going to do about it, man? Yeah. Are you going to wallow in it? Are you going to sit there and bring somebody else along on how shitty life is? Look, I have a business partner. I just found out he stole $5 million. It just happened. Like, I found this out yesterday. Okay. Ouch. No, this just happened. That sucks. But guess what? What does that have to do with today?
Yeah.
I'll deal with it. But if I sit there and woe is me, let me tell you my sob story. Who gives a shit, A, and how is that going to help me recover from what happened? I cannot change the past. I don't know anybody that can, but what I can do is I can change my actions right now. So get the pity party out of the way, Go get active, go start moving. Good things will happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, good advice. We have to take and manage ourselves 100%. So what do you think makes you so passionate about what you do, man?
Man, that's a deep question. I love connecting with human beings. I really do. It's why I love the podcast so much. And so I think it's other people that really give me that passion. When I'm around people that inspire me, like when they make me want to be better, that makes me want to help others. That's why my company's name, Let's Go Win. If Josh is winning, I am winning. If I'm winning, Josh is winning. If he's in my circle. And this is probably the biggest lesson, brother, that I had to learn, not once, not twice. I don't even know how many damn times, a lot, where I had to really be clear on who I'm surrounding myself with. I surrounded myself with people that were naysayers. They were, I won't call them losers because that's not true. We just weren't in alignment, but I kept them in my inner circle because of some history we had together. They're a great person, blah, blah, blah. When I realized that they were bringing me down, or I was allowing myself to be brought down, that's when I realized it's who you surround yourself with. So I honestly think the passion does come from that. I'm very blessed. My wife, she fires me up and gets me going every day. If I didn't get myself out of the pity party, I guarantee that little 5'2" Asian gal is going to beat my ass to it. She will.
They're tough.
Savage, man. And I'm 6'5", dude, but she will beat my ass into where it's like, let's go, let's get going. And I love her for that.
Yeah. No, look, I mean, the fire, wherever it's got to come from, whatever you got to do, it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's just got to get done. And so it's having those people with you, man, that are going to take. And I can tell you this, there's the broker. I'll shout out to my broker here, Jesus Castanon. I went up switching over to him because I'm not a big change shops kind of guy. I'm a loyal person. I'll work in the same place, even if I could do a little better someplace else. If I like the people, to me, environment, the people you're around. I was in a place that helped me in my real estate business initially. But when I switched, Jesus is one of these guys. He gets a big idea. And he says, we should do this. And it really winds up being something that I should probably do. And so when he said, he won't actually make it like he'll be like Cadillac. He calls me my last name. He always calls me my last name. It's Cadillac, you should do a clash on negotiation. I'm like, well, I do have some stuff that I've already written. I guess I could put that together. And next thing you know, I have a negotiation class done. Fast forward, I've got the record in the state of Florida for most continuing education courses that have been written, because every time I do something, you should really do a class on. And next thing you know, here it is. But again, those people, I'm a person, if somebody challenges me, I like to have all my stuff together so people have nothing they can say. Like, I'm the one that everybody looks to, like, geez, he gets a lot done, man. How does he do it? Right. And when somebody comes in and like, well, why aren't you doing this? I'm like, I should be doing more. All right, let's figure out how we're going to get this done. Running 4 companies, I'm going to do 6. Let's see how that works, right? Let's see if we can get it done. And so, if you look at my schedule, it's the same way. I got stuff back to back to back. Okay, I'm going to fly from here. I'll get there 10 minutes before I need to be there, and I'll have just enough time, and fitting and squeezing as much in as I can, because to me, that feels like I'm not going to have anything left on the field. And it's all out there. Everything is going out. If I got it, I'll figure out a way to do it. One of the guests I had, my uncle, actually, Mike, I was on the podcast, and he talked about his business strategy. And this guy, went from having nothing to he built himself, just sheer hard work and determination. I said, how did you do it? And he said, one of the things that I did was I always tried to say yes if I could. He said, I try to find it. Like, I should say no, but why is it that I need to say no? Maybe we could figure out a way to make that no into a yes. Like, why does it have to be no? Could it be yes? Is the way we could get it to yes? Could I take on this new challenge? And I thought that was such a healthy, because when I looked at it, that's what I'm kind of doing, but I never put a fine point on it like that. And that pursuit of, well, why hasn't anybody done it that way before? Why can't we do it? I think there's a healthy place that comes from to take and try to innovate and create and make new and make better. And people shut that down because of the risk of loss, the fear that, okay, I say yes and then I can't.
Mm.
Well, take can't off the table. What if can't doesn't exist? What if it isn't impossible?
I love Uncle Mike. I can tell you right now, man, I love that philosophy. Like he crushed that. That's so good, dude. Like what if I could take that no and make it a yes? That's beautiful. That is such a well put, concise philosophy. So
And
kudos to having Uncle Mike, man. That's pretty awesome.
what's awesome about it too is now Uncle Mike is the brother of my mom from Midwest Kansas. My father, hardcore businessman, docks on the New York, and he used to say the exact same thing to me in a completely different way. And I realized the two life philosophies are the exact same thing. We have an operation that we were working on, and he would walk in and he'd tell me, you can't just accept things the way they are. Like it was a cafeteria operation. He said, why do we put the food on the tray the way that we do? Why don't we turn the tray the other way? What if we put the tray on its side? What like, and you constantly look at, is there a better way? Again, how could we say yes to this? Could you take and get 3 times as many trays? Well, no. Why do we have to say, why can't we? And he was always that guy that, to push the level, but he was also a guy that had a bunch of patents that, he had gotten these ideas. And just, I was blessed to have these people in my life that were the ones that wanted to figure out how to create a way. And so, yeah, those folks in your corner, man, when you see it, especially from a young age, that it's doable, man, it's a leg up. That, you want to talk about what privilege really is? That's a privilege to be around people like that. So yeah, what you're saying there, I completely agree. Surround yourself with those kind of people that are going to light that fire in your belly. And why can't we? So let me ask you this, JM. What are you most proud of in business that you've accomplished? Sounds like you've done a lot.
Oh man. Boy, that's a tough one, brother. I'm going to say the book, and here's why. I had a lot of imposter syndrome as I wrote that first book. I had as positive as I am, when it came to that, I was asking myself, why should I write this? Why does the world deserve to hear it? And so much so I literally was only going to share it with 2 human beings. To turn it around and to accept the greatness that book is, because it really is, man. It's really good shit.
Yeah.
That's my most proud moment, because it's a legacy and it's created something that not only is going to help my family and those that I love, it's gonna and has influenced thousands upon hundreds of thousands, and it'll get into millions. And that all started with that book. So all the reasons I said no. And by the way, a quick side note on this. I had on my bathroom mirror, my goals. I always do. I still do. For 3 years, and my son, who would have been 7 at the time, Trey said, he's my youngest, Trey said, hey, Dad, how's the book coming? And brother, he destroyed me and inspired me all at one moment, because for 3 years, 5, 6, and 7, he's looking at this goal. How's that book coming? And I had to look, because I won't lie to my kids. I had to look them in the eye and say, I only have a little bit of chapter 1 done. I was so ashamed. And yet I was so inspired in that moment. It was done 6 months later. So it was a 7-year-old boy that made me realize, get out of your own damn way and get it done. And thank God that I had that kind of accountability. And I didn't ask him for it. He cared enough, or he's curious enough to ask, hey, Dad, how's that going? And I love him for that, man. It's one of those moments I'll never forget.
And once again, flying in the face of what popular culture says, that shame is an emotion that should be avoided. You know what? Shame that motivates you to do great things. That's okay. It's okay to feel bad about something if you should feel bad about it. If you've been dropping the ball, look, I did the exact same thing with my book. I didn't have somebody, but eventually I kind of shamed myself into, I got like maybe a third of the way through it. And then I don't know what happened. I went on like hiatus for 2 years. And then, 11 o'clock till 2 a.m. every night for a while. And next thing you know, there it is. And you're right. When something big like that is done, man, that sense of, I don't want to say almost like load off relief of like, wow, I did that. Holy hell. It's so worth the journey. But again, we're sitting here doing exactly what you talked about, talking about the hard part to get us to the good part. And so let me ask you this. What one piece of advice would you give our listeners? If you want to take and give them the one nugget that you're like, you know what, I could tell you one thing, this would be the thing.
I've probably said it already, but it's my favorite thing, and that is show up as you. At some point along the way, brother, we all started putting masks on. I think it's like fifth, sixth, seventh grade where we start to want to fit in.
Yeah.
So we put masks on, we put them on, put them on. Masks are for parties, man. They are not for life. Take
Yeah.
that off. Be you, be your authentic self. And I mentioned earlier, just like you said, you're 5'9". Okay. That doesn't take any effort for you to be 5'9". You're 5'9".
Not
If
at all.
you can try to be 6'9" or 4'9", and guess what? With enough energy, time, you could maybe convince somebody that you are. But why? You're 5'9". Who gives a shit? That's who
Absolutely.
you are. Accept that greatness. Be that. I'm 6'5". I could convince you I'm 5'5", but it would take so much effort. I just want to be
What's the
me.
point? Just function within what you're made to figure out what you're made to do and do that thing and do the living hell out of it. Just do it till you can't do it anymore, because that's what it's about. That's what you're going to be best at. And that's what you're going to be happiest at.
And it
Just
takes zero
own
time,
it.
zero energy. You're in complete alignment. So just show up as you. That's the best piece of advice I could give anyone, is just show up as you. That's the most attractive thing everybody wants to be around. They want it. We need it.
Mm-hmm. It's good for everybody. It's, as they say, it's good for the universe, if you will. The world is a better place when you're in that place. So sounds like you got plenty going on. Question I always like to ask: what's next for you?
So this is going to drive my wife nuts. Apparently that's also why I'm on this earth, is to drive her crazy. I'm writing my third book right now. And it's really interesting because it's way different process, but that's what I'm doing. But what's next, brother, is I have the reason Let's Go Win exists is to inspire people to live their best lives.
Mhm.
That is a goal that can never be accomplished. That's why I wrote it that way. When I'm gone, that goal will still not be accomplished. When my kids are gone, that goal will still not be accomplished. But you know what will still be there is this idea, this philosophy of let's go win. That's how big it is. That's why it's not jmryerson.com. And again, no offense to anybody that did their company that way. It's actually marketing wise, it's much smarter than the way I did it. But let's go win is just, it's something that is going to be around far past. You won't remember my name. My kids won't remember it, or kids. They won't remember, but Let's Go Win will still be there. And that is just so satisfying, brother, because everybody wins in it.
You know, JM, there's only two sayings that I have on my desk. I'm not a big sayings all over the place kind of guy. But one of them says, societies grow rich when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in. The idea of doing a great thing because it's a great thing that's going to survive long after you, and you may not even see the full or even close to the maximal benefits of it. And man, that is, if you want to talk about a life well lived, I couldn't agree more. Doing something that's going to last long after you're gone, it's amazing. It's really, to me, a quality of life, the quality of life to live. So how about completely unplugged question? What do you do to unwind?
I'll give you three real quick. I play pickleball because it's freaking awesome.
Love pickleball.
Yeah, brother. It's an obsession. I'm not gonna lie. I'm obsessed. I definitely imbibe on a good tequila. I love tequila, man. I just do. Not excessive, but definitely enjoy it. And you know what? This is fascinating. As much as I love being an athlete growing up, and I played every sport, I played basketball in college. That's what I did. I love watching my kids compete.
Hmm.
I think I like watching them compete more than I did competing. And that's blasphemy, man. Like, it hurts to say it coming out of my mouth. That's how much I love watching those boys go out there and win, lose, draw, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I love watching them compete. It makes me so happy not to watch them win, to truly put themselves out there, because it tells me my wife and I are doing some things right. There's at least two human beings that we are influencing that are going to make the world a little bit better place. And I get to watch them do it on the field. It's so cool.
That sounds amazing. That sounds great. Those are three great things. Love it. So JM, as we kind of bring this to a close, but if folks are like, Man, this JM guy's awesome. We want to find out more about him. Where could people find you?
Dang, I appreciate it, man. Let's go win.com. You can, if you want, there's free resources. I wrote articles that you can check out, or the books there. Let's go win 365, any social media platform. And then Let's Go Win podcast, which I assume you're set up for, brother, or at least I damn well better be. If not, we'll get you on, because you got great energy, man. You're dynamic. And I got to have some more Cadillac. I like that. Name, by the way.
Awesome. Hey man, there's a whole story. There's a whole story to where that name came from. And it is my name. But there's a whole story involves the FBI and World War II and all kinds of stuff. But maybe we'll save that for when I come on your podcast.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm set up for it, but I'd love to come on there sometime, James. So thank you, my friend, so much for your time, for your wisdom, for your thoughts. I'm sure everybody that's listening really got a lot out of it. I know I enjoyed it, and I'm just really grateful for you being on here.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Till next time, folks.